how to start your own property business. So we recently had a comment on one of our videos asking, how do I start my own property business? So I thought we should answer that here on this video. So yeah, first of all, what is a property business?
So could be any number of things really. You know, you could do anything within the property industry. You could be a construction firm, you could be a developer, you could be a estate agent, you could just be a landlord. I guess, you know, I mean, feel free to comment down below, whoever it was, which one they mean, and we go into more detail. But for today, I'm just going to cover being just a landlord, because I think maybe that's what they meant.
That's probably the most common one anyway.
Yeah,
people
So
look to
you've
become
got
a
your
landlord.
own, if you got your own sort of income from somewhere else, and you want to have a second income from property, so basically building a portfolio. Right. So how to get into that is, obviously, for a starters, you need some sort of income from either a job or the business that you do, and from that, obviously, you need to set money aside to obviously get into property. And the second part of that is credit. So, you know, how much you can raise. So typically, obviously, to get a buy-to-let mortgage, you need 25% minimum as a minimum for any property. If you got good sort of credit history, and you know you got the affordability, and if the property is right, then you can borrow up to 75%, or maybe in some points 80% from the bank, which is great. And then after that, it comes down to finding the right property, and getting your first one right. It's absolutely crucial. So first 2 or 3, you want to make sure you do your and obviously to get it right, obviously you need to do due diligence on any property. But your first, second, and third, you need to do extra due diligence. Make sure everything's covered. If you're not in the property game yourself, maybe take someone, you know, your contractor down to, you know, check the property out, take surveyors round, make sure it's structurally sound. And then once you've done all that, it comes down to price. You want to make sure you either buy below market value, or if you're buying at market value, you want to make sure you can add value to the property. Now, we've gone through this before in our videos. Again, I reiterate, adding value is not just putting an extension. If you're putting an extension on your house, it's costing you 20,000, and it adds 20,000 to the value of the house. You haven't added any value. So you want to make sure that obviously you can add value to the property, or you buy below market value and, you know, just do minimal changes and sell. So that's your first step. Once you got your obviously first property, there's 2 ways of, you can either set more money aside from your other venture and get into your second one, or you can obviously, once you've added value to the property, let it out for a while, and then you can, obviously the value of the property goes up steadily as well, and then you can release some equity from that property and then use that money. So basically, the bank is paying for the property that you own, and then use the money to buy the second one, and then do the same, third, fourth. And I would definitely recommend opening in, if you're keeping all these properties, I recommend buying them in a limited company. But if not, like a holding company. But if not, definitely open a limited company to take care of the management stuff, day-to-day stuff. It's easier, and it's obviously you pay a bit less tax on, you know, corporate tax rather than corporation tax rather than you know, if it's your personal income. And obviously there's other benefits like, you know, dividends and other tax benefits.
The benefits of buying a property through a limited company covered in the video we've done before.
Yeah, link it down below.
We'll put the link in the description, and for the other video, we'll also link that down in the description. But so buying your first property, buying your second and third property, at what point do you sell?
Well, that's another thing. So another property business, if you like, is to flip properties, which is great as well. So if you want to get into that, then again, it's similar sort of principle. You want to make sure you buy low, or you buy somewhere that you can add value to, and then just sell it. So typically, if your return per year is about 6-7% on a rental property, if you get your purchase right, you could make up to, well, you got to make at least 20-30% for it to be worth, you know, flipping. Yeah, so that's, anytime is good to sell if you need to sell, but if you don't, then just keep the properties.
Now, in terms of affordability and mortgageability, you said for your first one, you've raised some of the funds, or you've saved some of the funds, and you've got the 25%. Does your mortgageability get affected because you're now tied into a mortgage with a bank or from whatever?
Not really, no. So the buy-to-let mortgage is down to the property. Once it goes past 2 or 3, they look at how long you've had the properties for and how constant they've been and stuff like that. Which, I mean, you know, if you bought them in a limited company, that doesn't affect you. It's just a company that, it's limited liability basically. If anything goes wrong with those properties, it's that company, not you. But yeah, I mean, if you're having 1 or 2 in your personal name, it doesn't affect it. If it goes a bit higher, it depends on the lender really, but some of them do see it as a bit of a risk, depending on how much equity you've got in those. You know, if you've gone right to the max on every single one and you've only had them for like 6-7 months, then it's a little bit risky because you need 2 tenants to not pay you. And then obviously if your other income can't cover it, then it's a bit of a risk for the lender. But it just depends on every single case. You know, you got to look at it by individual basis basically.
Okay, and in terms of the gap between buying your first and second and third one, say like I've just bought my first property, how long would you wait until I buy my second one? Is it as soon as I can afford it?
Yeah. As soon as you find the right deal, that's a better one. Because you just because you have the money doesn't mean you have to go and buy. You know, I'd recommend obviously doing proper due diligence. Like, we're going to link all the videos down below on where to look for properties, you know, location and all the other factors that you need to sort of take into account. Yeah, you got to make sure what you buy is the right property for your purpose. If you want to flip, you want to make sure it's in an area that you can sell quickly and it's below market value. If it's for a buy-to-let portfolio, you want to make sure it's a good rental area and, you know, market demands are there. There's all sorts of different factors that we've covered in the past videos. But again, obviously, if you want to comment down below on, you know, if you have any other questions, we're happy to sort of go into more detail and, you know, explain.
So you're saying it's more about the property rather than the timestamp. So
100%, yeah.
If you found a property that's the ideal property, go for it. Even if you just bought your first one a couple of months ago, 5 months ago. Even. Yeah. Okay, so that was our video on how to start your own property business. Now, like any of our other videos, make sure you drop us a like, and if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel to see any other videos like this. And like we said earlier, if you've got any questions about this video or any of our other videos, make sure you comment it down below, where we'll be more than happy to cover it in our next videos. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.